Hello, Graham.
Well, this is a special day.
So welcome back, everyone, to Tea at 3 Looking for Good. I am Faye Schmidt, and this is the...
Yes, here I am.
Somewhere on
I'm
your screen and somewhere else on mine, and who knows where is what. Okay, I'm going to start off with a really good burst of good. You ready?
Yes. Whoa! Wow.
Aren't those wonderful?
Oh,
Just don't look at this side. This side is... These have been sitting on my dining room table for a couple days now. My housemate left them there, and it's just magnificent. Every time I look over, I'm like, I understand why there are so many paintings of sunflowers from like famous artists. It's just like, how can you not?
And you know, yours are so marvelously exuberant. And my little flower, which I should have had here, is a crocus. And it's a tiny crocus. And Trina, during her life, used to write poems and used to teach about God's flower garden. And she said, you know, if you're a shy violet, there's no point in trying to be a begonia. There really isn't. It just doesn't work. So why don't you just select a flower for yourself and then try and imagine what it's like as a personality to be like that. So those sunflowers are just personality. Yay! You know, I think that is so cool. And this crocus is, hi. Anyway, the only reason I said that is because my crocus came up under the snow. We actually had some snow here. And when the snow melted, there was this crocus standing there. So I don't know how I put two and two together exactly, but I felt like in the most improbable circumstances, something can flower and be such an exhilaration to see. It's like spring is coming, vaccines are here, we're able to hug one another maybe in another 3 months' time. And it's just as though we've been in a darkened valley and we're walking uphill and it's beginning to get light.
There were 4 separate days in the past week and a half that were above 45 degrees and cloudless.
Yes.
It was a miracle. It was a miracle.
Yeah. And doesn't that make you feel better? Does it make you feel better?
Ridiculously rejuvenating. Like, you don't even notice how like hopeless you kind of like, you just get down and that's just how you are. And so it doesn't, like, I don't think of being sad. And then I see the sunshine and I'm like, oh, I was not as good as this now. Not that that was bad then, but this is better.
Well, you know, I, as a Brit, and having had a Rolls Royce at one stage, used to rather prize the 2 capital R's together. And you've just superseded Rolls Royce with a new statement: ridiculously rejuvenating. I actually wrote it down here. I don't want to forget it.
That's great.
And you know, that word ridiculously rejuvenating for you is marvelously restorative and perfectly reasonable. For me, it would be something else because I've got that extra 60 years. And for me to be ridiculously rejuvenated is really something. And so I'm going to make a note of that. And that's wonderful. So apart from plants, anything cropped up that was particularly interesting to share with each other that would be an encouragement somehow?
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot lately about an idea that I haven't really explained out loud yet. So pardon me as I like work my way through it.
Good.
Yeah, that's part of what this is for, right?
Yes, exactly.
So throughout like the past few years, and I've talked about this before, but just like I've had a decent amount of anxiety about various things.
Yeah.
The thing is that I kind of realized, I mean, I knew this about myself, but I didn't put the two together, is that when difficult situations actually happen to me, I am very reasonable and totally fine. Like within that situation, I'm just like, all right, let's take control. Let's figure this out. Like when our transmission died on our car in the middle of the state of Washington, then we like figured it out. We called AAA. We got it to the right spot. We, like I'm calm in that place.
Yeah.
So why am I ridiculously anxious about something like that happening when it does happen? I'm not anxious. And so I'm trying to put this idea of like, instead of being anxious about the future, trying to bring the logic of how I am in that moment to like quell the anxiety of that moment happening. Part of it is that like I'm extremely fortunate in that if everything goes wrong, I have backup plans. I have family, I have friends that will help me, and I'm not gonna end up homeless or in a ditch somewhere. Like I don't need to have that anxiety, because in that moment I will be okay. And after I will be okay. But it's really hard to reconcile with the beast of anxiety that's just like, something bad's gonna happen and you don't know what and you don't know when, and you're not in control. But in reality, like when I get to that situation, I'm okay. So I'm trying to figure out how to make that okay within the anxiety as well as within the situation.
I think that's very interesting, because my experience that I wanted to share with you, I think will serve that purpose brilliantly. But I must move up to that because of you sharing freshly. And by the way, what we do together is what I'm beginning to find, that groups of people together using this media of Zooming are beginning to understand there's a self-protective quality to us when we first of all begin to relate, which means there's certain things I don't really want to spill out in public. But we've found such a willingness to care for each other in a small group that we don't mind sharing things, and it doesn't seem to matter whether it's being pixeled and depixeled and whatever this thing is that happens technically. But we're beginning to start to say tell some things about where we're coming from and who we actually are and what we're concerned about. And when we do that, we begin to love each other at a different level. So I got the vision, and I suffer from them, as you were talking, of approaching a busy intersection, which is a four-way intersection. And there's a lot of traffic and a lot of people are backed up on each side of that intersection. And when I come to an intersection like that, I do have a problem. My problem is exactly when is it my turn? Especially if there's two lanes on each one of those things approaching. How do you work out that you are the next one that's your right of way? And I get so frustrated by that I could wait there for the rest of the day, giving everybody the thing. And then people would think he's stopped, and then I'd go forward and I'd get hit. So I do have that at all four-way intersections where there's a car at every side. So that's the way I'm thinking about you thinking in anticipation, because when actually my time comes, perfectly reasonable. So let's get the intersection out of the way so that we can really focus on this thing and where I think this may help. I am, as you know, 87 years of age. And so I'm assuming that about 7 years of age, I lost my baby teeth and got my teeth that I still use. So that gives me 80 years of tooth use, and 2 of them had to be removed. And they had to come out on Wednesday, just 2 days ago. And I think they resisted leaving me alone without them to chew on. because they gave the dentist a considerable amount of trouble getting them free from my face.
Oh, no.
So going to a dentist does have me anticipate a certain situation that I'm not really in control of. I can, no, I'm not a wimp about it because I've had dental stuff before. I can't say that I lived in fear and feeling the sort of wiggle backwards and forwards and the pain of the injection and all of that sort of stuff, you know. So on my way out there, I had a little prayer. And my little prayer was, I need a distraction. I need to meet you in the dental chair and be so preoccupied that I couldn't care less. And I was given the name, the initial, not even a name, a T, an 11-year-old girl child, and N, a 4-year-old male child, who are foster children in the care of a very good friend at the present moment. And they are having a lot of trouble, a lot of trouble. So because they're foster children, you don't know the background and everything else like this, but I knew that they were having trouble. So I made it my process to not only pray for, but to try and understand what was behind the trouble. You know, as though I was able to see into their life. Now, I'm the first to be able to say that I have a marvelous imagination, but really, Graham, that idea is just beyond credible. And so I thought, well, it doesn't matter if it's beyond credible, it's a distraction. So I really, as he began to muck around in my life for over an hour, I actually sought and tried to understand. And I have come up with this, I could write a book about both of them. And it is so detailed. And I feel the emotion for both of those children that I'm writing that out and sending it to the person who's caring for them so that they can have that as two separate pieces of paper. If it is true, and I don't expect this, I will tell you, I didn't for a moment find it difficult to go through that surgery. And furthermore, in leaving behind that with all the pain following it and having several stitches put in because he had to dig out one of them, I've now got a mouth where these stitches are rubbing against my tongue. And to begin with, on the first day, that was really irritating. I wanted to try and get some scissors and try and trim it back somehow. And I was told I mustn't do that. But now I can feel it as I'm talking to you now. And I'm familiar with the stitch as I am now about the story of both of these children. I got to live beyond my own immediate self-interest for the period of this surgery when I was fully awake. Yeah.
I think this is a pattern for you that you like take things that like could be bad and find a way to make them good in some way. But like similarly to like instead of I don't know, buying a bag of chocolate chips, you spending that money on like an orphan or something like that kind of thing. I think this is similar in that like a lot of people have the pattern and use the idea of like distracting themselves and getting themselves fully involved in something else in order to not think about like whatever they're trying not to think about. But most of the time that's like Netflix or video games or like
yeah, right.
or like something fairly meaningless. But I really like that you took this thing that you didn't want to think about that could cause you actual physical pain and distracted yourself with thinking about like empathy and trying to empathize with someone outside of yourself and understanding someone else's story. Like that's how you pile on a good thing on top of a good thing. It's impressive.
I think it probably works. I have been truly disturbed by the difficulty in our politics for a while, as you know, I think. So I finally wound up writing to President Biden about it. I actually wrote a handwritten letter to him. I haven't had a handwritten reply yet, but and I don't expect to. Now, what happened by me doing that, I prayerfully posted the letter in my mailbox, and I'm free. I don't have to do the commission. All I have to do is pass it on to the person who can, and that's it. And totally up to them. I could not be less interested in politics at the moment. I can't tell you. It's just lovely.
I find that too, that just like getting everything out on paper or digital, it's a very good way to like escape the loop of a thought process.
Exactly right. And the last thing I have for me on my little agenda to you is, there is a script that says, I think it was when Paul, the Apostle Paul, was having some trouble physically or emotionally, we don't really know. But he had this thorn in his side that was irritating him. It was painful. And he had prayed 3 times that this pain would go away. And I thought that was very helpful yesterday, because I had pain in my face and I would like that to go away. And I certainly prayed 3 times for it to go away, and it has now. But yesterday I was weak. I actually sat in the sun here and just sat. And normally I'm a very active person. My mind is going, you know me. But I was just weak. And that scripture where he said, where Paul says that, God says to him that when you are weak, then you are strong. In other words, there's a strength in us that can come at moments when we're at our weakest. And I think that comes us full circle back to where you started off, which is you can anticipate things. You are anticipating being weak. But actually, when you get to the situation itself, you're strong. And I think that happens often enough. We know that it's okay to be weak.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is good, my dear. I think if we just crop up in each other's lives from time to time, there'll be a little heap of things to share. And then maybe we can just drop an email to our faithful friends and let them know, hey, we just had a nice little chat you may enjoy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice having like a mountain of things to talk about rather than being like, oh, hey, we're recording in an hour. What do I talk about?
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much for watching, everyone. This has been Tea at 3 Looking for Good. We will see you again next time.
Yes. Be well, my dear. Be well. God bless.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much to everyone also who's leaving comments down below, letting us know your thoughts about how this process is going. If you're not subscribed already, please do so, and feel free to like this video if you enjoyed watching. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Just think that when you watch this, it's ridiculously rejuvenating.
That would be very cool if someone thought that about this program.